Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and if you came here for a rant today, you may be disappointed because I will not be ranting today. I will be celebrating because something great has happened, something that I have been hoping and wishing for and never really expecting, literally for decades. It has to do with our military, and well, let me put up this headline. HEGSETH declares an end to politically correct leadership in the U.S. military. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth summoned hundreds of U.S. military officials to an in-person meeting Tuesday to declare an end to woke culture in the military and announce new directives for troops that include gender-neutral or male-level standards for physical fitness. Now, first of all, a little correction there. It's not Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. It's War Secretary Pete Hegseth. One of the things that Trump, it's turning out to be a great commander-in-chief, Trump and Pete Hegseth, who is turning out to be the best in my lifetime anyways, unless you're going back maybe to the Eisenhower administration, the best, and maybe the Kennedy administration, but definitely one of the best secretaries of war, not defense, ever. And, well, let me just give you a statement. What happened was Hegseth, I'm sure you read about it, he summoned a whole bunch of 800, I believe, generals from all over the world to a meeting, and he and Trump spoke at it too. By the way, I linked to it. The whole thing is about 2 hours, so I just linked to it. I'm going to show you a short excerpt from that in a moment, which is one of the things that I have been wishing for. But which was actually in that quote I just gave you. But he summoned these generals to say that things are going to be different now, because I'm sure the reason that he summoned them is because orders went out at the beginning of the Trump administration to end the wokeness and the DEI, and some generals have been resisting and not following through with the orders. And Hegseth basically said, "Well, this is the way it's going to be. If you don't like it, if you oppose it, then just resign, just get out." And one of the things he also said, he talked about PT, physical training, and he said the standards have been lowered. Why have they been lowered? Well, to accommodate women, to put this goal that the worst one, if I had to think of well, there's some pretty bad ones under Democrats, but I would put Leon Panetta way up there or way down there, depending on your point of view. He was a Secretary of Defense during the Obama administration, and he was the one who removed all restrictions on where women could serve, whatever position, no matter how high, say combat or Green Berets, whatever. And the problem that the idea is that women would join all these positions. Well, first of all, women didn't want to join those positions, and they weren't getting a lot of women. So there was a lot of they wanted to have. Well, they would love half men, half women, right? So they weren't getting the recruitment numbers that they wanted, and one reason because women just didn't want to go into combat, number one, but number two, they could not meet the standards, the physical standards. So the standards were lowered for women, and this started way back when it used to be when I was younger. I mean, I remember it used to always be men and women trained separately in basic training, so that the physical standards requirements could be adjusted to accommodate for the different physical potential, strength of and endurance of men and women. And then the decision came. I don't remember who's. This is something. Hegseth didn't say anything about this. I hope he'll do this. But to go back, now the men and women trained together, so the standard had to be lowered in that way. I remember there was one thing. Part of the training was to rappel, with a rope climb, I guess you'd call it, climb a rope to go up a large barrier. And so the women couldn't do it. So they made little chairs for the women to sit on, but the men had to sit on them too, so that everybody is equal, and pull themselves up with a little chair to sit on. The men, it used to be when you have in the morning you wake, bugle blows, you get up in the early morning and you go out to the field and you do push-ups and calisthenics and stuff. So they used to run from the barracks to the training field, and that was taken out. And then so now everybody was driven to the field because it was too physically taxing on the women, so on and so forth. So now, here is Pete Hegseth to explain what the new policy will actually, a restoration of the old policy will be.
Today, at my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only. This is not about preventing women from serving. We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best in the world. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is not the intent, but it could be the result, so be it. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify because we're not playing games.
What a breath of fresh air. This is what I have been waiting for the longest time. We now have a Secretary of War which is important, because when we were the Secretary of Defense, when we were the Secretary of War or Department of War, the country was winning wars all the way through World War II. It was actually after World War II, Department of War was changed to Department of Defense, and that's when we started not necessarily losing wars, but not winning anymore, because the idea of it started in Korea, actually, the Korean War, and Harry Truman, where we were fighting the North Koreans, and then we were helping the South Korea. We were fighting the Koreans. I don't know if the country hadn't been officially divided yet, Korea, and the Chinese pitched in, so we were fighting Chinese too, and it went badly at first, then it started to turn around, and finally we were on the verge of victory. And I don't want to go into, go off on a wide track of historical detail, not really relevant, but Truman stopped that, and there was an armistice. The country was divided between North Korea and South Korea, and it's kind of been that way over and over, where we send messages, or we fight, or we negotiate, but we don't fight to destroy an enemy, to force an unconditional surrender, like Japan as Japan and Germany did. That was the last time there was maybe the Iraq War, the first one, the Gulf War, George Bush Sr. I don't recall honestly whether there was a formal declaration of surrender, but Saddam Hussein was left in power, and then we ended up going back again and not fighting through to victory. So now it looks like we're finally having that kind of a Department of War, which, remember the saying, peace through strength, or as the ancient Romans said, if you want to ensure peace, prepare for war. We finally have a Secretary of War and a Commander-in-Chief who believe in that, who apply the same standards that Trump, as a president, believes in applying for university admissions and admission of immigrants to this country. Every aspect of life should be based on merit. On merit, the best rise to the top. No DEI, no quotas, and breath of fresh air. I could not be happier. Maybe I sounded like I was ranting there for a while, but really I'm very, very happy, and the country should be very, very, very happy now. Some liberal, well, maybe all liberals, who knows, will not be happy. But that's it. I just applaud this president. He's turning, we were supposed to be on, or Democrats believe that, and liberals believe that we are on an arc of history, that we were tending more and more towards communism and socialism, and that, well, it's turning out not to be true. And if you want to know why we're seeing a lot of the violence that we're seeing from the left, that's why. Because they are realizing that they have, if they haven't lost already, they are losing. They are losing the argument, and the country is going. Trump really just came in and he took a monkey wrench and just threw it into the machinery that the national health care, you pick whatever it is that the Democrats, the liberals have been uh, gradually building over the years. And well, I I couldn't be happier. Just leave it at that. I could not be happier. And that's it for today. Your comments welcome in the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. Um, subscribe. But most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.